Connie Hires is here to help you get ready for summer.
Ooh, free agency is off to a fast start for both the Cowboys and the Texans. The Cowboys, well, they signed a couple of former first-round picks in defensive lineman Solomon Thomas and Peyton Turner. They also re-signed wide receiver and all-pro punt returner Kavontae Turpin on a 3-year deal and got awarded 4 compensatory picks, while the Texans, they're hitting reset on their offensive line, trading away Kenyon Green.
If you smoke, take it outside. Get the facts at don'tpassgas.org.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate all y'all for rolling along with me tonight, however you may be doing that, whether you're listening on 94.1 on your FM dial. If you happen to be locked in at sasportstar.com via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player, or if you happen to be watching live on YouTube. That's right, we stream all of our shows via YouTube. Just go there. Search SA Sports Star. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You're able to comment along in the comment section. I get to those throughout the show. Plus, guess what? I'll even take your phone calls. Always take your phone calls. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the show. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate all of y'all for riding along with me tonight. And free agency has been so much this year. And I know we say this every year, but even with the Cowboys being involved finally, so many things happening, and the Texans didn't have a lot of money going into free agency. So it was going to be very interesting to see kind of what Nick Caserio was up to. And it turns out it's an entire overhaul on the offensive line that started last night with the trading of All-Pro and Pro Bowl left tackle Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. And this morning on the Morning Huddle, Rob and AJ were talking about that massive piece of the Texans' horrific offensive line, the only good part of it, and why the Texans may have moved on from them.
Free agency, baby. It is time. It is that time of year.
Boy, it was busy.
Boy, was it, man. We got it's popping early. And I guess let's start in the great state of Texas, where the big news it came for the Houston Texans. Laramie Tunsil, who is a multi-time,
5-time Pro Bowl.
Yeah, this is now he's not what he was, but here's what I'll say. I did some kicking around on this yesterday because I had a hard time parsing this trade. The Texans give up Laramie Tunsil and a 4th-round pick this year. In exchange, the Texans get a 3rd-round pick, a 7th-round pick this year, and a 2nd and a 4th next year.
It's not quite Herschel, but it's a pretty good haul.
It's a good haul.
I mean, if they do this right, it is a force multiplier if they do this right.
Now, I saw a Texans fan sort of like, yeah, we didn't need him anyways, a walking penalty, and you're right. You know what? The penalties were egregious last year. He's really bad about that. That said, he is the only guy on that team who could pass protect. And he is still I don't think he's any longer like the elite of pass protectors, but he was a He had 93% pass block
Dude,
win rate
he's
last
an
year.
elite left tackle.
Yeah.
That's not dance around effect. Penalties be damned. He's an elite left tackle, and they got what he was worth.
The last 3 seasons, he's either had a 92 or 93% pass block win rate. He has played 48 games in the last 3 seasons.
See, that's one of the issues.
No, I mean,
I guess that's true. He
Yeah.
hadn't been, but it's the seasons before where he spent some time on the bench.
But here's the thing. Again, if the Texans had to go into this offseason thinking one of our priorities has to be offensive line. And whatever you think about the penalties, he was still the best offensive lineman you had. And the Texans move on from him, leaving yet another hole on that line. You've got guys in-house, namely Titus Howard, who I think has to be at this point looked at more like a guard than a tackle, because he's just not good enough to play at a tackle, an NFL left tackle level. And then Blake Fisher, who graded 114 out of 141 in PFF last year for tackles that had hit the mandatory amount of snaps. Neither one of them, you can't feel good about either one of them playing left tackle. So my guess is that Houston trades up and tries to get a cornerstone guy and then addresses the rest through free agency. But I was like, why would they trade Tunsil? And then I started to think about D'Amico and what his philosophies are. And D'Amico is, more than anything, he is a culture guy. And it's almost kind of like we think of Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is a culture coach. There's a handful of guys who are culture coaches more than they're X and O's coaches.
Pop.
Yeah.
There's no bigger culture coach on the planet than Pop.
I think that D'Amico looked at his offensive line room and said, we're about to have a hard reset in here. And I think from a personality standpoint, he didn't love the idea of Laramie Tunsil being the leader in that room, which he would have been. And I think there's questions about his work ethic and what kind of influence he would have on younger players. So I think D'Amico said, I'm going to make a culture move and move on from this guy.
Well, and I think about the trading up and finding a guy to replace him for a lot less money, I think played into this too. I think there's a money aspect to an expensive left tackle that isn't one of the greats that's on his way back. But this isn't it. If I am any skill position dude this morning, especially those that are involved in the pass game, I don't wake up excited this morning that Laramie Tunsil's gone.
No.
I mean, I'm not happy.
I'm CJ Stroud.
Stroud is probably the most angry, but everybody involved. This did not help the offense today. Now, in the long run, you hope that the moves are made correctly and they draft appropriately and they overcome. But apart from quarterback, man, the search is constant for left tackle. So you have to play this absolutely right. This is a bold move to do this. I do agree with the culture. I think that's 99% of it. I'd say 90%. I do think 10% is pay. But it's back to the culture thing. When the Spurs drafted David Robinson way back when, one of the better players on this team was a guy named Frank Brakowski.
Nice.
An average basketball player, but
I dare you.
But I mean, a decent baller, not a great one, but one who paid very close attention to his stats and his contract and all of those kind of things. And the moment David arrived, the powers that be realized we can't have David Robinson associated with a guy like Brick. He's just a locker room lawyer, as they used to call it. Just one of those guys that he just doesn't really fit the culture that we're trying to take a guy like David Robinson down a different path. So they got rid of Brick, and it was a net negative. They got rid of talent because of the situation, but for the long-term culture of the team, those that were involved, it felt like it had to be done. And so I get the culture move. If everybody's on the same page and you're all headed in the same direction, you can do this kind of stuff, but you don't excise a left tackle of that kind of merit without some return. And if you don't have the return, that's one of those first career limiting moves without a left tackle.
I remember Frank Brakowski, one of the craziest things about Frank Brakowski, this was probably after he was on the Spurs. He had a ranch in Montana.
Yeah.
And they found him with an ounce of marijuana and arrested him for it.
Yeah.
And he had to
Little
go
bit.
like drug counseling. Like, think about that. And it was in his house. He had an ounce of marijuana in his house on a ranch in Montana in the middle of nowhere. And they arrested him and made him go to drug treatment. It's like, what? Imagine that now. You're talking about the early 90s, but I digress.
Or Frank. Well, that kind of fits the narrative, right? They just good baller, good guy, but nah, I can't have you messing with the golden child. And CJ Stroud is indeed the golden child, and I'm sure there's some others coming down the pike. And they got their value, man. It wasn't like Washington paid for it.
They did. But you know what? Speaking of Washington, on the other side of this trade, remember last year when Jerry said all in? Like,
yeah, this is what all in looks like.
This is what all in looks like. The Commanders are so serious about taking the next step. I give them a ton of credit, man. They are going for it. And this is, again, CJ Stroud, who's 1 year ahead of Jaden Daniels. This is Jaden Daniels, like, taking from them, like, one of the things that CJ needs. And now you're talking about they re-signed John Bates, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner. They signed Javon Kinlaw. They traded for Deebo Samuel. They traded for Laramie Tunsil. This was right when the league, it's just started. The new league year has just begun, and they've already done all these things. The Commanders are quickly, like, establishing themselves as a contender next year because they're actually all in. And I give them a lot of credit, man. You got to respect it, because they could look at it and go, well, we had a good year, but we'll see how it looks next year. We'll see if it's sustainable. They're like, oh no, we're going to sustain this.
Well, that's the manual now. You got to do it. You got 3 years. You got 3 years to go get everybody in place for a 4-year, maybe 5-year title run.
Oof. They are definitely pushing their chips into the center of the table while Jaden Daniels is early in his rookie deal. And to be fair, the Texans did the same thing last year, going out and getting Stephon Diggs, going out and adding Danielle Hunter. Like, the Texans tried to do the same thing. Problem is, on the offensive line, they had Laramie Tunsil as one of the highest paid left tackles in football. They spent money on Shaq Mason. They extended Titus Howard, and they spent a first-round pick on Kenyon Green and a second-round pick on Juice Scruggs. And there was a lot invested in that offensive line. It did not work. And now they are quickly hitting the reset button. How quickly are they hitting the reset button on that? Well, the Blitz was talking about it as that wasn't the only moves they made was Shaq Mason and Laramie Tunsil. They got rid of a first-round pick earlier today as the offensive line revamp continues. We'll get into that coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledge and what it means. Does it signify what the Texans may be doing in the draft? We'll get into it coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledge on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1.
Sell your car to America's best car buyer. GiveMeTheVin.com, and you may be the one that gets an extra $25,000 in your pocket. We are giving away $25,000 to a random person that sells their car to GiveMeTheVin.com in the month of March. GiveMeTheVin.com, big cash giveaway. You can't afford not to try it.
No purchase necessary. For official rules, go to GiveMeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. when you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
As a fan, you know all the important sports cliches. And when you save money by bundling your home and auto with Progressive, you can get out there and give it 110%, even though that's mathematically impossible. And remember, failure is not an option. Well, it's always an option, just not a good one. But you're not worried because you've got ice in your veins. You're on fire. How can both of those things be true at the same time? Well, that's between you and your doctor. So get out there and leave it all on the field. Leave what? Who cares? Just leave it and save with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
O'Reilly.
Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and the MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99. In-store only, limit supplies. See store for details. Choose Syntec exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data, available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fee supply requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, because this deal's for a limited time. $149
for tax prep that's $149 or less. Hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
With basketball season in full swing, make watching the game a little bit more exciting with your chance to win money with Underdog, one of the leading sports apps, and you can play in Texas. You can win up to 1,000 times your money with Underdog, playing the pick'em game where you pick higher or lower on predicted stats. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right on your pick'em entry, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Yep, turn $1 into 1,000 with your hoops knowledge. Download the Underdog app and sign up using my promo code STAR to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
A little bit of breaking news as we went to break. Speaking of the Houston Texans, former Houston Texans All-Pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins has a new home. That's right, the free agent who just went to the Super Bowl for the first time in his career with the Kansas City Chiefs is now signing a 1-year, $5 million, could be worth up to $6 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how things play out as we continue through free agency, because a lot of ways to go. And like I said, the Texans have opened a wide book on what's going on, how they're going to approach things. The Tunsil trade and the Shaq Mason release to get out from under both of those contracts were kind of at least a hint as to what was going on. And then it escalated even further today when they made the trade to send former first-round pick Kenyon Green off to the Philadelphia Eagles and one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, Jeff Stoutland, who also, by the way, made Mekhi Becton a reclamation project this year, and wouldn't be mad if the Texans signed him either. But in return, they end up getting quite the safety in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and it's just a small portion of a window as to look into what the Houston Texans, Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans are doing with that offensive line.
It is interesting when you think about what's happening down in Houston, completely revamping the offensive line. And our great producer, James Pledger, who might be frustrated as hell with his mother right now in technology, which all of us are when it comes to moms and technology. He might be a little frustrated with trying to know what's going on with the offensive line. Yeah, it needed changing. And right now you've moved out the furniture, but what are you going to put in? And then you realize, well, there might have been a stain on that furniture. Maybe we should have seen this coming, because Pledge remembered hearing something a year ago from quarterback C.J. Stroud. And now that Laramie Tunsil is gone, this little snippet from one of the podcasts that C.J. was on, the Pivot podcast, seems to make a whole lot more sense.
You know, LT, like, he a vet, like, he not doing nothing extra at practice, like, you know, like.
Yeah, he's a vet, doesn't do anything. He doesn't do a damn thing extra in practice. Guy shows up, does exactly what he's supposed to do, and clocks in and clocks out. Minimal effort guy.
Well, what do you expect? He's Laramie Tunsil.
Well, I'm not surprised that he tries to leave practice early, since he leaves early often during the game. False start, Laramie Tunsil. But Jesse Palmer, who now does a lot of work with Underdog, was talking about a little bit more detail in the fact that a massive contract for Laramie Tunsil was coming, and the Texans wanted no part of it.
Well, my understanding is they were never going to give Laramie Tunsil, at 31 years old, a new massive contract. And he wants one, specifically also with C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, and Derek Stingley all on the horizon, as well as others, for massive paydays. Now, Houston does believe Tunsil can still play, but there is a thought that maybe his best days are behind him. You combine that with an NFL-leading 17 penalties, a new offensive coordinator in Nick Cali, and perhaps the timing of a weak tackle class that allows the Texans to coop as much as they could for Tunsil when his value was still high. I'm also told the Texans' offensive line room had its issues this past season, and appears DeMeco Ryans wants to build this group with new leadership, new attitude, and new culture on the offensive line that matches what they've built on the defensive line.
Obviously, wait a minute. Did Palmer say he was told the Houston offensive line had issues? Yeah. Did he not watch a Houston Texans game?
Well,
you didn't have to be told they had issues. You just watch and you could see it clearly with your own eyes.
But clearly there were also issues inside the room when you're watching film and everything else. And again, leadership. When your quarterback says your highest paid player does minimal, he does nothing extra at practice. Guess we all probably should have seen this coming. Those that pay attention to the Texans a little bit closer. You don't hear that very often about a star player.
Well, I appreciate what Caserio's doing. He pissed off the offensive line. He's just wiping them out. That's 3 guys now that are gone from that offensive line. Now, they have replaced one of them with a guy by the name of Laken Tomlinson, agreeing to a 1-year deal. He comes from San Francisco, so that purge in San Francisco continues, but just a 1-year deal. And I find that interesting because of the fact that you got CJ coming up, and you've got some other players that you're going to have to pay. So we'll see what happens. This guy's 33 years old. He was with the Seahawks last year, I guess, and he played every offensive snap for that franchise. So they have started replacing the offensive line, and Tomlinson appears to be the first.
My worry about, because, you look at like Cowboys do a 1-year deal worth up to $4.75 million for Robert Jones. Tomlinson gets a 1-year deal worth $4 million with the Texans. On the ESPN.com kind of recap of the trade, what's the risk? Tomlinson hasn't played up to the level of his 2021 Pro Bowl level the last 3 seasons. Last season, he allowed the 6th highest pressure rate among left guards and allowed 11 sacks, according to Next Gen Stats. Well, that's Kenyon Green, is it not? Did you just replace bad with bad? I don't know that you got better there. You just got different. But it's 1 year, $4 million. So it's not a long-term solution, not a bad contract. But I don't know that they've improved there. Now, if he ends up being a backup because they find another starter, then all right, he seems like a good depth guy. But it's going to be interesting to see. But I do like the trade, Kenyon Green going to the Eagles for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That's a nice move by the Texans, who've, they added Tremont Smith, a cornerback, on a 2-year deal. He was with the Broncos, kind of a special teams guy. I really like what Nick Caserio has done with what he has added. The departures, I like what I think could happen with those moves, because it's going to be a completely revamped offensive line, which needed to happen.
Well, their secondary is spectacular. You add a Gardner-Johnson now. That secondary it was good anyway. And it just got an upgrade. There's no doubt.
That secondary is going to be filthy. You think about Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. coming off the edge, what they have in the rotation to be able to send waves of people on the defensive line. And then you've got All-Pro Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, who was in the running for Rookie of the Year, one of the best defensive backs per PFF grades, along with a healthy Jalen Petrie coming in that slot robber role, on top of Kalen Bullock, who led rookies with 5-6 interceptions this year on the back end. Now C.J. Gardner-Johnson's playing next to him, and you still have Jimmy Ward back there. That's dirty. But it also goes to show Caserio and them aren't messing around when it comes to fixing this offensive line. Laken Tomlinson and Pro Bowler back in 2021 with the San Francisco 49ers when DeMeco Ryans was there. So there is some continuity there. But, you're moving out from Laramie Tunsil. What does it do? Oh, this line's going to be horrible. Well, it was already horrible. So how much worse can it potentially get? And reports are the Texans' offensive line, the room was borderline toxic. And that's got to be something that you talk about. And I say it a lot because DeMeco talks about people having a swarm mindset, special work ethic, relentless mindset. Swarm. And we start associating this guy's a swarmy guy. When they drafted Will Anderson Jr., he's a swarmy guy. Jalen Petrie, swarmy. Guys that are just going to play with their hair on fire in a sense. You can think of a bunch of those guys on the defensive side of the ball. It doesn't really translate outside of Joe Mixon last year, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins, of other guys that play with that type of mentality on the offensive side of the ball. And it definitely doesn't translate to anybody you would think of on the offensive line for the most part. Dalton Schultz doesn't match that swarmy mindset that you think of either. So I'm very interested to kind of see the remake of what they're doing up front on that offensive line to get it to mirror the mindset of the defense and the way it plays, the way Tim Settle played last year, the way Sheldon Rankins played the year before, and they brought him back. Like those guys that just kind of lay it out there. Azeez Al-Shaair, he was the definition of swarm, which is why they went and signed him this past offseason. Those are the kind of guys that you need to put on that offensive line. I'm not sure they have them. And I know Titus Howard is slated to be the starting left tackle right now. I wouldn't rule out Titus Howard potentially being traded at some point this offseason as well. I'm just saying, it wouldn't shock me if he was also on his way out the door in terms of freeing up future money and then trying to rebuild those trenches the way they see fit, whether it is someone through free agency via a trade or two, with when you talk about guys like Wyatt Teller or the Browns trying to move off of certain players potentially on that offensive line that are getting older in age. I could see that being a way that they would potentially go as well. Or in the draft, you look at a guy like Donovan Jackson coming off an injury at Ohio State, could be a guy that they look at. I saw in the chat, people were asking about Kelvin Banks Jr. out of the University of Texas. Potentially, I don't know. Him and Will Campbell both have arm length issues. Now they may transition to guard in the NFL. They could potentially still play at tackle, although arm length is a big deal when it comes to projecting NFL offensive linemen. Will Hernandez, guard for the Arizona Cardinals, that's a free agent. There are guys out there that I could see the Texans still targeting at some point, whether through free agency, through a trade, through the draft, through all of those means, to try and reset the mentality of the offensive line to get it to match the mindset that DeMeco Ryans wants in the building. And you've heard him say it. You've heard Coach Nick Saban say it, energy vampires. I think a lot of those guys on the offensive line, on that offensive line, were energy vampires in the room on offense. And that is something that they are quick to rip the Band-Aid off and try and fix. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 941 FM, sasportstar.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything, YouTube at SA Sports Star. You can follow me at I Am Pledger. When we come back, we'll take some of your phone calls, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Plus, the Cowboys, they're actually doing things in free agency, and it's kind of nice to see. Now, they're not aggressive moves by any mean, but they are potentially selectively aggressive.
We're going to be selectively aggressive.
Morning Huddle, Rob and AJ, we're talking about the addition of a running back and what it could potentially mean for the Cowboys as they head into the rest of free agency and the draft. We'll get into it next right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 941 FM, sasportstar.com.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star is heading to Vegas, and you're coming with us. Join Jason and Joe from the Blitz at Circa Las Vegas for Mega March, March 27th through the 30th. Catch baseball's opening day and all the hoops action at the world's largest sports book. Then take the party to Stadium Swim with 6 pools and a massive 143-foot screen. Book now at CircaLasVegas.com with promo code BLITZ and join us at Circa Resort and Casino. Sports, sun, spirits, and a sure bet for an unforgettable time.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Jason Minix here from the Blitz. That's exactly what I did. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home and make price-boosting upgrades.
Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home evaluation. That's Orchard.com.
The Blitz is going to Vegas. Come along for an unforgettable Mega March weekend at Circa Las Vegas, March 27th through the 30th for opening day and the second weekend of the tournament. Thursday, March 27th, celebrate the start of the baseball season and watch all the games at the world's largest sportsbook, plus the ultimate March Hoops experience. Take in the action in the 6 pools and the 143-foot screen at Stadium Swim. Book now and use promo code BLITZ at circalasvegas.com. And join Jason and Joe at Circa Resort and Casino.
Wow! Most cars and trucks can get premium ceramic window film installed by the experts at Mother's Window Tint, starting at just $199. Don't wait. Protect your ride today. Our competitors charge hundreds more, but at Mother's, you get the best quality and value. Call now or visit motherswindowtint.com to schedule your installation. With up to 60 different film options, we've got the perfect fit for every car and budget. Stop by one of our locations and see the difference for yourself. Want to boost your vehicle's security? We've got you covered with advanced systems starting at just $399. Call 210-213-2118 today and ask about our alarm specials. Since 1984, we've been the home of the tint and alarm special. Don't wait. Visit Mother's Window Tint today. Call now or go online to book your service. Your car deserves it. Mother's Window Tint. Since 1984. Call or visit motherswindowtint.com. That's motherswindowtint.com. And remember, do it at Mother's and save.
Don't let pain hold you back from living your best life. I'm Dr. Jason Garrett with Arasti. At Arasti, we're dedicated to providing fast, effective relief from pain. Whether you've been dealing with a chronic discomfort for years or have recently suffered an injury, our goal is to help you recover quickly. Our treatment is all natural, non-invasive, and covered by most insurance plans. With convenient locations nearby, relief is just a call away. Visit Arasti.com. That's AIRROSTI.com. Arasti, we fix pain fast.
Calling all snack MVPs, it's time to huddle up with Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds, the low-carb, high-protein snack with a flavor-packed crunch. From sea salt and cracked black pepper to hot honey, sweet barbecue, and more, these bold bites are ready to tackle your crunch time cravings. Find your flavor playbook at H-E-B and make every bite count, because when it's crunch time, there's only one snack you need on your team. Southern Recipe Small Batch.
George gets justice. Hurt in a wreck? Get George. Hit by an 18-wheeler or commercial truck? Get George. Injured at work? Get George. When you're dealing with personal injury, you need to get George, because George gets justice. I'm George Salinas, and my San Antonio-based firm has been recognized across the state of Texas and the United States. Call George Salinas Injury Lawyers today at 210-225-0909 or visit getgeorge.com. George gets justice. Getgeorge.com.
Made in America, highest quality. That's Connecticut Quality Water Softeners. There's a reason Dave Ramsey says a Connecticut is a wise investment for your home.
Trust me, Connecticut water systems are the best of the best. I personally have one in my home. All those other water softener systems out there are junk in comparison. Connecticut uses less water and runs on kinetic energy.
So there's no computer to break, fewer moving parts, and it works only when you need it.
It was even voted most efficient water softener in the world by the Water Quality Association.
For a limited time, receive a free reverse osmosis drinking station at your kitchen sink, $400 off with trade-in, and 0% interest for 12 months with approved credit. Call Connecticut of San Antonio and the Hill Country, 210-656-PURE.
Check them out at ConnecticutSA.com. and tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
License number 38961.
ConnecticutSA.com.
I'm AJ Hoffman from the Morning Huddle. Join me and Rob Thompson tomorrow morning at 6. Your early morning wake-up call on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure. Of course, you can follow the station on all social media platforms at SA Sports Star. You can follow me at I Am Pledger. Enough on the Texans. Let's get to the Cowboys and America's team, who last year at this time we were just screaming at Jerry to literally do anything and the bare minimum. Well, they're doing just that this time around. And I'd say a little bit more than that, as they went out and solved one of their, at least not solved, but at least threw a nice little piece into the pie of one of their holes that they had going into the draft, being running back. Rob and AJ were talking about it this morning on the Morning Huddle.
The Dallas Cowboys making it happen, Captain. I mean, what can you say? They are being incredibly selectively aggressive as the Cowboys agree to a 1-year deal with Javonte Williams. Now, I'm not mad at this. This feels like a move that kicks the running back can down the road for another year. This doesn't feel like you've got your long-term solution at running back. Especially you sign him to a 1-year deal. It seems like you're not even really considering the possibility of it being a long-term move. But
you got to earn it.
It's something that is now it's a box checked, and you got a guy who, I mean, do I think that he's going to be? I don't know that he can carry a load, but I don't think the Cowboys are really asking him to carry.
Well, you
a
think
load.
about what Shoddy's offense will look like, and I imagine their plan, he fits that scheme. No, this is knock anything out of the park, but as you just said, it checks the box. They didn't spend much money. All right, next thing.
Yeah. So we'll see what that next thing is. But this is the kind of move that hopefully will prevent them from reaching on a running back in the draft.
No, I think they're still going to get. You're right, and I think they're reading the tea leaves. They're not going to get one in the first round.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I don't. You take one at round 3 through 7. I don't even care. But you don't take a running back at 12 when you've got the problems with this roster.
Well, I think they would have if they felt like their dude, whoever that dude is. You assume it's Boise State, but it might not have been, because the latest is that even North Carolina kid will be gone. So it hedges their bets. I still bet if one of those two is there, they'll give it a second thought. But I think that they'll safely be able to land at a place that'll be a bit more need. But I think it's more about they're not thinking that guy's going to be there for them.
Now, Javonte Williams he's only 25 or about to be 25, so he's still got some
Tell
life
me
in
about him. My memory of him is it's a little undersized, quick, it can take contact, but not big enough to really move the pile.
He is very low to the ground.
Yeah.
He was the leading rusher for the Broncos last year, but that's 513 yards. It wasn't a run heavy offense.
Yeah.
But the problem is he had a knee. He was really good when he came out, had a knee injury his second year, 2022, and has not quite been the same since. I guess the thought is another year removed, maybe he's able to and again, I'm guessing that he is by no means the only part of this running back. There will be someone added to help carry the load, because he's not an every down type of guy. But you avoid overpaying for Rico Dowdle, which it seems like somebody's going to pay Rico Dowdle like some serious running back
more
money.
than 3. I can tell you that.
And I hope it prevents you from overdrafting a running back, which are two good things for the Cowboys, in my opinion.
Keep that hope alive. Keep that hope alive.
Yeah. Well, I don't know it. So last year, 3.7 yards per carry for Javonte. But again, this is a guy who was former first-round pick. They're still looking at him like, maybe he's got a little bit of that left in him. It's all a matter of how that knee, if he ever returns back to that. Typically they don't, but again, I don't think they're asking him to be prime Zeke Elliott.
I think I'm speaking for most Cowboys fans. Because at least they did something.
They did something.
You did something, and it was appropriate. You didn't spend much. You reinforced a position of need. You didn't knock it out of the park, but you did acceptable work. carry on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna high five you. I mean, you just did the most basic thing you could have done, which is more than you did before. But so carry on about your day and continue the diligent work, because your selective aggression, I hope this wasn't it.
I saw something, and you can probably tell me if this is true or not. The thing I saw, and I didn't research it, I just saw it and said, that's crazy. And I believed it because I'm an idiot and I believe everything I see on the internet. But it said the last time the Cowboys signed a free agent that wasn't one of their own for more than $6 million a year was Greg Hardy in 2015.
That sounds
Could
about
that be
right.
true?
That sounds about right.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I mean, it isn't when you look at their record. I mean, when you look at the sum total of the events since 2015, no, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're not actively acquiring talent at every opportunity, you're going to look a lot like the Cowboys. If you are relying solely on being built, not bought, you're going to look like the Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys, and this, I don't know how to put this. I don't want to, I mean, it kind of is for the Jones family. It's a little bit like their fantasy football team. And when you have a fantasy football team, without question, I believe this. You value the players on your fantasy team usually more than the other players in your league value those players.
I think anybody who plays fantasy football shares the same commitment to their guys that a general manager does.
Yes.
You get lost in your own myopic belief in these things. That's why you need to surround yourself with people that are level-headed, or at least have a broader view than you bring.
That's true. And it's one of the reasons why the Texans moving on from Kenyon Green after a couple of years, very, very, very exciting, because a lot of people will ride that high first round draft pick until it's proven to be a failure. I mean, we saw Jerry Jones do it with Trey Lance. I gave up a 4th rounder for Trey Lance. We like him. He's the future. No, he wasn't. And he wasted a roster spot. And it was a waste of a 4th round pick. And you should have moved on as soon as you knew better, but you didn't. But they did go out and get Williams. And he's going to be a lot like Rico Dowdle, higher upside because of where he was drafted and what his projection to be is. Younger. Now he is coming off an injury, and maybe 2 years removed from that injury, we start to see what everybody saw in Javonte Williams coming out of UNC for the draft. And he can be that bell cow, and he can be the guy. And even if he's not, it doesn't beholden you into taking one in the first or second round. You can wait until the 3rd or 4th round, possibly, because this is a super deep running back class, to find a person to pair with Williams. And that is the prime difference between this year and last year. The Cowboys are filling holes. Now, they aren't with sexy, top of the market players, but they're filling holes on the roster to where they are putting themselves in a position to take best player available when the draft eventually does come. This is Extra Innings with Pleasure. We'll put a bow on the show and get you ready for the night as the rest of free agency. They start to sign tomorrow, baby. That's right. They all become official. That's all coming up here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 FM.
Nigel, what are you doing with all this stuff in the break room? It looks like a farmer's market in here.
I'm changing my eating habits, embracing good quality nutrition with fresh produce.
Folks, maintaining a healthy AC system is just like maintaining a healthy diet. Let's make sure your system is clean and efficient. Nigel, that's a pretty impressive healthy salad you've assembled.
Thanks, Joel. Now step back. The grease is hot.
Grease?
Porter Moon Plumbing, Heat, and AC, 210-651-5899. License number TACLA 141074E and 16004.
Do you ever scroll through social media only to find yourself bombarded by bad news, hot takes, picture-perfect families, and yet another humbling professional update? It's hard not to get wrapped up in how everyone else is doing, but imagine how you would feel if you spent 45 minutes focused on how you are doing. At Cerebral, they make it easier than ever to access dedicated therapists and doctor-prescribed medication personalized to you. The best part, Cerebral offers in-network care so you can focus on feeling better without worrying about the cost. In fact, 72% of people say they felt better in just 12 weeks. Cerebral makes mental health care easy, accessible, and more affordable. Cerebral is proud to be an official sponsor of the San Antonio Spurs, and just like athletes prioritize their physical health, mental health is just as important. And Cerebral is here to help you build a strong foundation on your overall well-being. Take that first step today. Go to Cerebral.com to see how affordable and accessible mental health care can be with insurance. Cerebral, make time for Mind Time.
Carbach Brewing was not born in San Antonio, Texas, but they have certainly gone out of their way to make San Antonio their second home. We had the head brewer come in, and he said when they first started to reach outside of Houston, San Antonio was the place they wanted to be, and does it show. Carbach beer is all over our great city, from their in-your-face flagship IPA, Hopadillo, to the Ziegenbach, to their best seller, the Love Street, their Kolsch-style blonde. There is something for everyone in Carbach's lineup, and it is all over the place. Of course, you're going to find it at the grocery stores. Of course, you're going to find it at the liquor stores, but it's also at a bunch of bars and restaurants around town. They wanted to make this their second home, and that's what it's become. So when you're out, you're watching the games at your local sports bar, your local restaurant, your local hangout, you're thinking, I want to elevate my beer game a little bit. Well, friend, wherever you're at, they probably have some Carbach either on tap or in cans. So when you're out and about doing your thing, go ahead and make sure to ask your bartender to please make it a Carbach.
All right, guys, summer is coming. You could hit the gym, but you're probably going to say, I'll start next Monday. Here's what you need to do. You need to get M-Sculpt Neo from Dr. Connie Hires. It burns fat, builds muscle, and tightens up your abs, your arms, even your butt and your legs. And guess what? She can do it too. Couples who sculpt together, well, call 210-494-8446 or go to findyourbeautiful.com. Findyourbeautiful.com, because dad bod season is officially over, and Dr. Connie Hires is here to help you get ready for summer.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text SAVVY to 42424. That's SAVVY to 42424.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I am James Pledger. I appreciate y'all rolling through with me tonight. Fred Casares says on our YouTube page, Javonte Williams had a bad knee injury and is bound to re-injure it with one bad cut or misstep. If that's the case, you should probably never have a player on your team that's ever suffered an injury. Micah Parsons suffered a high ankle sprain last season. You might as well cut him because one wrong step and he could re-injure it. Medicine's come a long way, Fred. And ACL injuries aren't what they used to be. As a matter of fact, most people come back just fine, much like Tommy John and pitchers. You come back even better a lot of the times after you've had them. So, look, I'm not going to write off Javonte Williams because he suffered a knee injury now 2 years ago. And he averaged nearly 4 yards a carry this past year, was the leading rusher on the Broncos for a team that didn't run the ball very much. And if he would have had the same amount of attempts rushing that Rico Dowdle did, also would have had 1,000 yards last year. So it's about opportunity. It's about line. It's about a whole bunch of different things, not just one thing. I think it is clearly worth the price to see and kick the tires on someone with so much upside. So might as well kick the tires, right? Right? Ram says, remember, he's football old, Pledge. Football old. A guy going into his 5th year's football old at the running back position who probably has less carries than most running backs that may even be coming in out of the draft right now, especially one of those being Ashton Genty. If you want to talk about football old with the amount of carries he's had on those legs, that dude may be football old a lot faster than people would realize. This has been Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Remember, call those that you love and care about. Check on them. You never know what people are going through in life, and a simple, hey, how you doing could change somebody's whole day and outlook. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, the Morning Huddle gets you started tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, with the latest from free agency overnight. And, of course, the Blitz will take you home tomorrow from 2 to 7 until you get back to Extra Innings with Pledger right here at 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk to you later, guys.
The St. Patty's Day parties at the Roof Pub are legendary, and this year it will be the biggest ever, spanning 2 days. Sunday, March 16th, it's a crawfish boil, all you can eat for $10. Then on St. Patrick's Day Monday, it's a block party. The green beer will be flowing with live music.